wrap it up here.
That's
Emergency
all right.
rescue is a critical facet of local services infrastructure that should be provided prior to approval of any apartment complex greater than 2 stories. Council and developers requesting greater than 2-story apartments by zoning are putting human lives in peril. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can submit written comments, and there will be future possibility of public comment also.
Yes,
So,
I'm aware of
hate
that.
to cut
And
you off.
wasn't Gordy Hughes, the fire chief, going to speak tonight?
Not tonight. He will be present at a future land use and planning meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here in chambers that wants to speak on this matter? Okay, great. Come on up, state your name. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. My name is Maggie Bornstein, and I am not a Grant Creek resident. And so you're probably like, why do you care so much about what's happening in Grant Creek? I live in Ward 1. I look this way to Ward 1 because I really care about housing as safety infrastructure in our community. I was so lean to see when the city staff recognized that this project hits the checkbox. We're promoting public health and safety and supporting our housing goals. I know, I'll say it a million times, I have so much respect and admiration for all of you for working under the circumstances that you do because we are so limited by our state. And I'm so excited for this to be an opportunity to say yes as more housing. I am really passionate about domestic and sexual violence, which is something that I think we don't often hear about as a public safety issue nor a housing issue, but the reality is that it's both. I myself have been stalked, and when looking for an opportunity to move, I looked to Daniel. We looked at maybe a 200 square foot apartment that was more than what I was paying at the time. In 2020, law enforcement in Montana responded to a domestic violence related call every 1.75 hours. And I can't even imagine how those numbers have continued to grow and change and show up in this community. That very small 200 square foot apartment was all I could really find on the market. And I know there are a lot of people here who are very passionate tonight, but I think we need to recognize that a lot of people don't get to be in this room because they work construction and they have a big job in the morning, or they don't have good access to childcare, or they're a single parent. And I think that just the opportunity for surplus, I hear you say all the time, we don't zone based on project, we zone based on opportunity and how it fits in our growth plan. I've started getting really nerdy about this because I care so much about this community, and I think everyone here too does, but I just really see this as such an awesome opportunity to create a really high impact, to promote public safety, and to make Missoula livable for all people, for all the working families that make this community such a special place. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Come on up and state your name for the record. Thanks.
My name is Glenn Slay, and I live in Grant Creek. And I'd be very interested in knowing how many of you live in Grant Creek? Any?
So we don't respond to questions, but go ahead and give your public comment.
Okay. In order to get out of Grant Creek right now, the cycle on the light at the base means that you sit there for 2 minutes and 40 seconds between green lights. The idea of evacuating in a situation like this, where we're already slow, can only get worse with the number of cars and people that we're talking about now. If you put in 700 units, it's going to average between 1.5 and 2 cars per unit. And those cannot get out of there is in the situation that we're looking at now. The fire protection plan does not include anything north of the Elk Foundation. You've got 700 residents up Grant Creek, and that doesn't give them much of a chance to get out. All right. The 3 lanes that were discussed by the gentleman here go only as high as the Elk Foundation. Once you get past there, it's 2 lanes, it's crooked, and there is no way to get around it, and you won't get a fire truck up there. This is Class 10 protection, National Fire Bureau, which means that the closest fire truck is 7 miles from my house. It's 8 miles from the gentleman who spoke to you before. So once you get past the Elk Foundation, it's 2 lanes, and the evacuation plan calls for 2 lanes coming out. So there's no way to get fire equipment up. I think it's something that we should be spending a lot more time looking at before we decide that it's going to be okay to turn loose that many more people, more cars, more congestion in an area that can't contain it.